Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Idle Angels video, and this one should have been made on the last time space havoc, but I was genuinely testing out stuff, and now I do have the time and actually the kind of knowledge to talk about the time space havoc, the new one, because they did change it. I have a video about the previous time space havoc, so if you are interested in seeing what time space havoc was 3 months ago, feel free to check it out. But now some of the things are changed, and I would like to express my opinion on all the stuff that have been changed. In my opinion, everything is for the best, and I am glad with those changes were made. But overall, I will also try to give you some suggestions or tips how to do the different events in the time space havoc, but I am not going to tell you exactly how to beat every single stage, because there are 600 stages on the first part, then you have the Zodiac Calamity, and then you have the time space rumble. I will just try to give you out what works for me and how I am managing to stay in the top 100 in all three rankings of Havoc almost every single time. So first thing that I would like to talk about is when it comes to Havoc, you have those three different events that you can participate in. The first one is the normal 3-gate event, in which there is gate 1, 300 stages, in which you are fighting with one team of 6 angels. Then there is the second gate that you are fighting 200 stages with 2 different teams of 6 angels. And then gate 3, which is 100 stages, and you have 3 teams of 6 angels. Once you reach stage 100 in gate 1, you unlock gate 2. Once you reach stage 100 in gate 2, you unlock gate 3. If you manage to beat all 600 stages, you will be rewarded with the blue scrolls, all of the blue scrolls, and you will reach endless. Once you reach endless, the maximum stage is 999, as you can see from the rankings. In my opinion, as a free-to-play player or a newer player, so below the first year and probably below the third year of the mark, your goal is just to reach endless. Everything after that requires quite a lot of investment, and I will show you why. You will see that you are facing 3 full teams of fully built angels that have maxed MR and ER. This happens only after you reach endless, and in my opinion, that's why it will just take you either a lot of investments in order to have 3 nicely built teams in order to beat those in endless, or you will need to be playing for a lot of time. But the good news is that with a low investment or no investment as free-to-play player, within 1 year of consistently playing the game and building the correct angels, you will definitely be able to reach the endless of time space havoc. And also, with that being said, you will be very close almost always to the endless, but you will be just missing a few key stages depending on what angels you have built. Why is it so important to clear the endless? Because if we go to the shop, if you manage to fully clear every single thing as free-to-play player, not spending any money in regards of time space havoc, you will be able to buy the UR chest. Why is the UR chest important? In my opinion, if you do not have the sim, Enmu or Hera maxed out, this UR chest will be very helpful, because it's essentially like 160 blue scrolls converted. Of course, you could be buying the blue scrolls if you do not have enough for the chest, but once again, since I do not have those angels maxed, I will be prioritizing on the UR chest, which will be saving me quite a lot of blue scrolls. And as I mentioned, the good news are that you can get it for free if you manage to reach endless mode, and on the Zodiac Calamity you manage to reach at least 2000 of the value points. So we spoke about the first three gates. Over here, what I would like to say is that you are definitely going to need three different DPSs in order to beat Endless. But before that, for the three gates, you don't really need three DPSs. As you can see on my team, I do have two DPSs, one of which is the Lucifer, one of which is the MC, and one of which is the Perseus. And of course, the MC, we don't really count it as a true DPS. I just find to use the MC in collaboration with other angels in order to make it work. If you're wondering what my three teams usually look like, it depends on the stage that I am fighting, but with the best supports, which are Hela and Fuxi, I try to put the MC, or on my crowd control team, which is Pandora with Aiden most of the times. Why? Because usually Pandora manages to stun all the enemies, and then MC slowly tries and kills all of the angels with Aiden at the same time. So that is something nice to have. Then I have the Lucifer with Enmo on another team, because Lucifer is a single target DPS that actually manages to do better damage with Enmo. And then on my last team, I would have Perseus as solo with maybe something like Raph, something like Uriel to prevent some damage taken, and then with Jhin. All being said, the best DPSs in my opinion for HAVOC are kind of like probably Aquarius and Anubis should be one of the top DPSs for the time space HAVOC event. But I do believe that almost every single DPS has their strong points during different fights. Pandora is kind of a must own because she does help quite a lot clearing stages early. Taurus will be something that you definitely would like if you want to completely clear time space HAVOC easily. I do not own Taurus, and as you can see, I managed to reach endless. But if you have Taurus, that is something that you definitely would like to own. Raph is very, very nice. Merlin on top of that is very, very good. And as I said, Aiden. And I know that Virgo is not out yet, but she will definitely be a support that you can fit into the time space HAVOC as well. In regards of the stages, how to beat every single one of the stages, maybe with the next HAVOC I will be able to include a short video of my progression, how I beat stages, and what teams exactly do I use for gate 1, gate 2, and gate 3. Please do put down in the comments if you would like something like that. Maybe I won't be talking over it that much, and it will be kind of sped up, but you will be able to copy my layout if you already own the same angels as me. But overall, this is for the gates. And what is also very important early on is whenever the event starts, to push as much as possible on day 2, 1, 2, and 3, because early on, if you log in and you claim some of the XP and the items, then you can equip them and you can push even further, which will essentially speed up the process of reaching higher gear early on. If you have probably less than 8 angels build up, it wouldn't really make that big of a difference if you participate for the first few days that much, because if you don't own at least 12 or 18 angels, it will be very hard to beat HAVOC anyway. So at some point when you reach gate 2, you will feel stuck no matter how much you upgrade your angels, and then gate 3 will be the same way. You will just feel stuck because you do not own enough angels to support beating the other 3 teams. With that being said, on the time space core, this is where you will be upgrading the gear and the leveling of the angels. In time space HAVOC, you use different levels and different gear that is won during the event. You do not have anything that carries over in time space HAVOC except on the angels. If you have the MR or the UR plus, passives over here, these ones do carry over. So if you change something over here, it will carry over to the time space HAVOC. And in my opinion, you should be careful with that, because for the time space HAVOC, you always want to have the death evasion on every single angel that has UR plus 5, because essentially this will allow you to be quite actually stronger, because you are just surviving in terms of supports. The second one you are going to have is the start orbit mark. Now this is something different, and this is in combination with the Zodiac Calamity. The Zodiac Calamity doesn't look like that when the event starts. When the event starts, you have for the first 10 days different stages that unlock with each day further and further. In my opinion, they were quite easy to beat, but when the event started, I already was 1 year in to the event, and it was quite easy to do all the challenges, so I'm not sure how easy it can be for a newer player, for which I'm sorry, but I cannot test it out. Maybe someone can mention in the comments if it's just doable with a maxed DPS. But essentially after day 10, you will unlock this version of the Zodiac Calamity, where you can choose different buffs or debuffs. Basically, it's buffs for the enemies and debuffs for your team, and you're going to try and challenge that team in order to beat it, to score points. Your goal over here is to reach at least 2000 points early on. And what I found out is that there is actually a easier way to reach those 2000 points. So this one on the bottom left, you definitely do not want to have. This one, which is the Leo Calamity, you also don't want to have. The Pisces was something that was very, very hard to deal with. And usually this one, the Scorpion with the Aquarius and the Libra, is something I find easily to do with my lineup, but of course this is the lineup that I was using. It takes time in order to finish it and to do it, but in my opinion over here you can try to lower it as well. But if it's your first time doing it and you don't have much of experience, you don't have many of the angels being built, just lower every single thing to 0, because this is what we'll start with. So once you start, try to push slowly and see which one works and which one doesn't. Once you complete a quest for 200 points, you will receive 30 of those red Crimson Star cores. So essentially, you are just going to try to push the Scorpio, the Aquarius, and the Libra most of the times slowly, in order to complete different thresholds until you reach 2000. And why is that important? Because we are going to go back to the start orbit mark, and now you have an exponential upgrade of those red cores that you can start using in upgrading the orbit marks. In my opinion, the biggest priority over here is always for the build-up angels, and always start with your DPS angel, or because I do use Pandora on position 1, I like to give Pandora the I always start with Perseus, then I do Pandora, then I do my Lucifer, which is the second DPS, and then I do Hela, Hera, or Fuxi for the instance, because they can benefit very much from those attack and HP buffs. So the first 2 upgrades are the blue and then the purple one. They will only give you basic attributes. The third one will give you it's orange, and it will give you this bonus up. And then the next one is the red one, which will give you the skill. And here's probably the biggest question. Okay, we unlock the bonuses, we unlock the skills. What is it for the best to choose out of those? In my opinion, I use kind of the same for every single angel except the DPSs. But let me show you. When it comes to the bonuses, you can see that there's attack up plus 100%. The only angels, in my opinion, that benefit from this are the angels that primarily need the attack in order to provide better buffs, which is Fuxi and Hera. For those, you definitely want to pick the attack up, and then you have the skill damage amplify or the creator will damage up, which is primarily for the DPSs. So if you are using a DPS angel that is doing damage with creator's will, which is the incarnation power, in order to check that, you will need to go to your angel, then you click the angel, then you go to incarnation, you read it out, and if this is the damaging skill, which most of the times for the DPS will be, then good for you, you can use that buff on the bonuses. And lastly, increased buff effects. In my opinion, this is for every single support that is not going to use the attack up. So this is for the left side of the bonuses. Now let's go to the right side of the bonuses. We have the HP up, skill damage reduction, creator's will damage up, and debuff resistances. So over here, the HP up is for something like Wrath, for something like Hela, for something like a DPS that is HP based, like Lilith, like Medusa. Or Tauros will also like the HP up. Skill damage reduction is nice to grab if you are dying quite a lot and your supports are dying quite easily. But me testing out the skill damage reduction, it didn't actually make that big of a difference, so I barely use it on any of the supports. I do pick up the creator's will damage for the DPSs, and when it comes to the supports that do not use the HP up, the creator's will damage, or the debuff resistances, that's when I pull the skill damage reduction. Then we are moving to the skills. The skills we have Sharpness, Cleave, Restrain, Wrath, and Purity. So the first one, Sharpness, after casting a skill for the first time, grants 50% crit damage increase to the ally with the highest crit damage other than self. So this is something you definitely don't want to pick on your DPS, because your DPS will be with the highest crit damage, and it cannot be applied to the self, and it cannot be applied multiple times. So this one you just pick on a support in order to buff the DPS. And how you choose that is you will want a support on your team to have this for each one of the teams that you have. So let's say you go back to the teams and you go onto the lineup. Over here, let's say I will put that into my Ember, the Sharpness one. Then on the second one, let's say I see Hera, okay, I will put Sharpness on Hera. And then team 3, okay, I see Jean, I will put Sharpness on my Jean. Now I know that all 3 of my teams do have Sharpness on them, so now I forget about the Sharpness buff. Cleave, after each skill cast, if there are more than 3 enemies, deal 1 additional instance of holy damage. This one I do use for my DPS, and also Aiden is something that will nicely benefit from that as well. Restrain, if there is more than 1 enemy, reduces skill damage of self and the enemy in the same position by 30%, cannot be stacked, and only 1 such status can exist on the enemy side. This one I do suggest if you are watching the fights in the gate 1, 2, or 3. If you see that an enemy is killing you by skill damage, not the incarnation power one-shotting you, but a skill damage, then you can see on which position that angel is. You can pick a restraint on one of the supports and put that support in front on the same position of the enemy and see if this one allows you to survive. But once again, I really didn't find restraint useful. In my opinion, the sharpness you look one for, and then it's the cleave for the DPS. We have Rod. When taking action each round, gains a 10% holy damage increase, stacking up to 8 times. Why? Sometimes I use Rod, sometimes I use Cleave, depending on how much survivability the enemy team has. So if the enemy has a lot of death evasion, I do be using the holy damage increase, because in the end it will be 80% holy damage. But if I can nuke the enemy team, then I am using the Cleave. And lastly, we have the Purity, reduces creators' will and revelation skill damage by 100%, increases damage by 50%, and basic attack damage by 100%. This one, Purity, is used only for Sagittarius and Leo, because they do benefit from basic attack damage rather than any other type of damage. They just use their basic attack to kill and finish the stages. On the right side of the skills, we do have Bulwark, Rhythm, Fortitude, Erosion, and Dedication. Bulwark allied on the front row starts the battle with 1 stack of Bulwark. Upon taking any damage, consume 1 stack and stacks up to 1 time. So usually the Bulwark I use in combination with the support that is having sharpness, but sometimes you might use the Bulwark on a different angel. In my opinion, Bulwark is worth only 1 time to be brought in each team. So the same way with the sharpness effect, you just look for it once. Rhythm, after casting a skill for the first time, restore 1 willpower. This one is something that I use on basically almost everyone on my lineup has Rhythm on. The Fortitude reduce self-attack by 50% and increase self-max HP by 50%. This one you use for every single HP-based angel. Once again, Taurus, Wrath, Lilith, Medusa, those type of angels will highly benefit from this Fortitude buff. And in my opinion, it's better than the Rhythm. Erosion. After casting a skill, inflict 1 stack of erosion on all enemies, inflicts damage taken by 3% and stacks up to 10 times. This erosion you can again use on your supports rather than having the Rhythm. But at the same time, using erosion, I do find it better for angels that have AoE or are dealing or are casting their skills more often. Dedication, upon death, increase attack of the 1 ally with the highest attack by 10% and can stack up to 5 times. This one is another thing that you are going to be picking for your supports. So one of your supports will run with Bulwark, probably one will run with Fortitude because you use Wrath, you use Hela, you use Taurus, and then other supports I do be building with either Dedication or Erosion depending on the occasion. With that being said, this is the Crimson Ruin and the Crimson skills that I have been using. We talked about the Zodiac Calamity as well. And now the last one is the Time Space Rumble. On the Time Space Rumble, unless you have nicely built angels, it will be very, very hard to compete with others on it. For the beginning, your goal is to be clearing the main event and to attack it as much and as high as possible. The best team that I managed to use with my angels that I have built is this one. So if you have the same build, feel free to copy it, but this was what worked best for me. For core 1, I have been using Aiden because Aiden can solo all those angels. For core 2, I have been using MC with Jean and Poseidon in order to beat this one. Core 3 is where I have overstacked, but I have overstacked only because I cannot beat core 4 anyway. So I am missing another DPS. If I manage to grab one more DPS angel, I am more than likely going to be able to beat core 4 as well. But this is what I am left with in order to build supports for core 4. And with that, I managed to secure the top 100 rank with almost no issues. The goal over here on this event is to not bother pushing until the last day. Why? Because reaching certain point in the rewards doesn't give you really anything, and the ranking doesn't end until the last day. So you should feel free to level up as much as you can, get higher gear as much as you can, finish all the star orbit marks for all the angels that you are going to use, and at that point it will make it very easy in order to beat the time space rumble. Personally, I really don't bother with time space rumble until I reach level 400 and I just reach endless on the main stage. So that might be something that probably will save you some time, so you don't bash your head to try to figure out something in order to work when you could just wait for the 20 days, and on the last day you are probably going to have easier time. As I said, from the shop, the best option is the UR chest, but unless you can beat the event, you cannot grab the UR chest. So in my opinion, the blue scrolls with red scrolls is something you want to grab, and then you have the opportunity for tier 5, tier 3, tier 4 chests, or the SSR plus chest. Just grab whatever you feel like it, but in my opinion, the blue scrolls are definitely something you want to grab. Packages, nothing really worth to talk about except the 5 blues for €1. This is the only good one that you should be grabbing. And overall, this is kind of it for the time space havoc. It is quite a longer video, for which I am sorry, but I genuinely didn't expect that it will take that much time to talk about everything. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to put them down in the comments. And once again, if you are interested into having a video where I showcase all the stages that I beat, then I will try to record them for the further havocs and then post maybe one video or several videos just labeled as my journey through havoc, and then label from which stage to which stage I have beaten. That being said, once again, thank you all for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video.